All right, looking at finding the surface area of the nets of 3D figures. So we've got a couple different shapes we're going to go over. So the first one, we're going to start with the cube. So remember, surface area for most rectangles or squares is base times height. Okay, so here we've got a cube that it's a 3 by 3 by 3. So when you take that net and fold it out, you're going to get 6 squares that are all the same size. They're all 3 by 3. So now that we know that we have 6 squares, we can just find the surface area of one square and then multiply it by 6. So anytime you have a cube, you can just go 6 times the surface area of one of those cubes. Okay, and so here we know that the surface area of one of those cubes, a 3 by 3 cube, is just 3 times 3, which is 9. Once we have that, now we can say, okay, we've got 9 of those squares, so we're going to have 9 inches squared 6 times. Sorry, we have 6 of those squares, not 9. 6 of those squares, each one is 9 inches squared, so we're going to multiply that by 6. So 9 times 6, that's going to give us, it's going to give us 54. So it'd be 54 inches squared. Okay, so anytime you have a cube, it's just the surface area of one of the squares times 6. So we'll do this next one right here. So it's a 4 by 4 by 4 cube. So all we have to do is say, well, area equals 6 times base times height. Well, area equals 6 times 4 times 4. So that's just 6 times 16. Okay, and when you multiply 6 times 16, you get 6 carry the 3, 96. Okay, and that would be in centimeters squared. All right, so once again, it's just the surface area of one of them, and then that times 6. Okay, a rectangle gets a little bit different. So on a rectangular prism, and we've taken the net here, notice that you've got a base 1 and base 2. Those two are both going to be 5 by 4. So you have 2 of those. Then you have side 1 and side 2. Once again, those are both 10 by 4, so you have 2 of those as well. And then you have side 3 and side 4, and those are both going to be 10 by 5. Okay, so we need to find the surface area. It's going to be the combined surface area of all of them. So base 1, that's going to be 4 times 5, gives us 20. Base 2 is going to be the same thing, the same dimension, so you have 20 centimeters squared. Side 1 is 4 by 10, and we have 2 of those, so those are both 40. Okay, then side 3 and side 4, those are going to be the same too. Those ones are 5 by 10, so you have 50. So when you add them all up, you've got 20 plus 20, 40 plus 40, 50 plus 50, and you add them all together. Or you could do 2 times parentheses 20 plus 40 plus 50. So either way, when you add them all up, you get 220 centimeters squared. So an equation I would use for this is area equals 2 times, and you could do base times height plus base times width plus width times height. Okay, because if you notice, that's what you're doing here. If 5 is your base, 10 is your height, and 4 is your width. So base 1 would be your BW, so that'd be 20. Base times height would be your side 3 and 4, so that'd your B times H, and then W times H, or width times height, would be your 4 times 5, or would be your base. nope, sorry, would be your side 1 and 2, 4 times 10. All right, so another example. So this one we're not going to have the net, but we have our 3 dimensions. So I'm going to use this equation right here. So my area of the net formed from this rectangular prism is going to equal 2 times my base times height plus base times width plus width times height. Okay, so now I can fill in what I know. So area equals 2 times, my base is 8, my height is 6, plus my base, which is 8, times my width, which is 5, plus my width, which is 5, times my height, which is 6. Okay, so now I've got all this. I'm just going to multiply 8 times 6. That's going to give me 48. 8 times 5 is 40. And then 5 times 6 is 30. Okay, so now I've got my surface area for all those. I'm going to add them up and multiply by 2. So 48 plus 40 is 88. 88 plus 30, that's going to give me 118. Okay, now when I multiply 118 times 2, that's going to give me 236. And this would be in inches squared. Okay, so once again, you have 3 different rectangles, but 2 of each. So you find the surface area of one of those, times it by 2, add them all together. All right, so area of a rectangle, of a triangular prism. So you're going to have 3 rectangles, and then you're going to have 2 triangles. Okay, so remember, area of a rectangle is length times width. Area of a triangle is 1/2 of your base times height. Okay, and once again, they've got everything done here. They show you the triangular prism, and they show you the net. So you've got side 3, side 2, side 1. So you have 3 rectangles that are different, and then you have 2 triangles that are the same. So area of the triangle is 1/2 base times height. So our base is 4, our height is 3. So 1/2 of 4 times 3. 4 times 3 is 12. Half of that is going to be 6. Okay, so we've found our area of our 2 triangles here. So base 1 and base 2. Okay, so what's left is to find the areas of our 3 rectangles. So we're given the dimensions, so we know that area of side 1 is 7 times 5, which is going to give us 35. Side 2 is a 4 by 7, so we've got our 4 and our 7 here. So 4 times 7 is going to give us 28. And then our last side, side 3, is 7 by 3. So we take 3 times 7 and get 21. Now we have all of our dimensions, all our surface areas of the individual shapes. Now remember, area of the triangles, there's 2 of them, so we're going to have to multiply that by 2. So surface area equals base plus side plus side plus side. And here our base 1, base 2 are the same. So when we go through that, we get 6 plus 6 plus 35 plus 28 plus 21. So our 2 triangles right here, side 1, side 2, and side 3. And when we add them all up, we get 96 feet squared. So those are triangular prisms. Okay, so once again, find the surface area of each one of the shapes in the net and then add them all together. All right, now we've got a cylinder. So the cylinders are a little bit interesting. We can find the length of, or we can find the area of the rectangle. We know that's length times width. we can find the area of the circles. That's just pi r squared. But we're going to have to use our circumference. So remember, circumference equals pi times diameter to find the width of our rectangle. Okay, so circumference, if it's pi times diameter, our diameter is down here at 6. So we just take 3.14 times 6, and that will give us our width of our rectangle. Because when we open this up, when we open up the circle, take the net of the circle, of the cylinder, it's going to look similar to something like this. You have your two circles, then you have your rectangle. That's going to be the height, and then this right here is your circumference, which equals your pi times d. Okay, and that's our width that we're referring to right down here. Okay, so 3.14 times 6 is going to give us 18.84. So now we can find the area of the rectangle right here. Okay, so that's going to be 8 times 18.84, because our height is given to us right here as 8, and then we found our circumference right here. So we're going to multiply those together. That's going to give us 150.72 inches squared. Okay, so we've found our rectangle. Now we have to find the surface area of the two circles. Okay, now remember, we're given diameter. We need to find pi r squared, so our radius is half of our diameter, so half of 6 is 3. Okay, now that we have that, we just plug it into the equation. Area equals pi times r squared. Well, our r is 3, so 3 squared is going to be 9. 9 times our pi, or 3.14, is going to give us 28.26 inches. So we found the surface area of the circle. Now note, on a cylinder we have a top and a bottom. So there you have 1 and 2 circles. So we're going to have to times this value by 2 and then add it to the surface area of our rectangle. Okay, so to find surface area, and that's what they've done here, we've got 28.26 plus 28.26, so our two surface areas of our circles plus our surface area of our rectangle. And when you add them all together, you get 207.24 inches squared. Okay, so once again, it's surface area of the circle times that by 2 plus the surface area of the rectangle that forms the body of the cylinder, where you're given the height and you may have to find the width, which is the circumference of the circle. Okay, last thing we're going to look at is going to be the surface area of the net of a trapezoidal prism. So we've got the net. So note we've got a base 1 and base 2 that are different sizes. In this prism, our side 1 and side 2, those are going to be the same. They're both 3 by 4. Okay, and then our trapezoids are also going to be the same. So remember the formula for area of the trapezoid. So S3 is going to equal, so base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2 times height. Okay, so this is going to equal, and it tells us our base is 8. Our base 1 is 8, base 2 is 12, so 8 plus 12 divided by 2, and our height is right here. Remember, height is has to be a right angle from both bases in a trapezoid, so 8 plus 12 divided by 2 times 2, that's going to equal 20 divided by 2 is 10, 10 times 2 is 20. Okay, and note that S3 is equal to S4 because they are the same shape. Okay, now side 1, that is going to equal base times height. In this case, our height is 3, our base is 4. So that's going to equal 4 times 3, which equals 12. And once again, S1 is equal to S2. So these two values we can just multiply times 2. Okay, and then the last ones we have base 2, which is equal to 8 times our width, which is 4. That's going to equal 32. And then base 1, that's going to equal 12 times 4, which is equal to 48. Okay, so now we have all the dimensions. 20, 12. These ones are going to appear twice, so we're going to times those by 2. So the total area equals 2 times 20 plus 12 plus 32 plus 48. So 2 times, we could say surface, or side 3 plus side 1 plus 32 plus 48. Side 1, remember, side 1 is equal to side 2, so that's why we're multiplying this 12 by 2. And then side 3 is equal to side 4, which is why we're multiplying 20 by 2 as well. So we've got 32 here times 2, which is 64, plus 32 plus 48. When we add these all together, 64 plus 32, that's going to be 96. 96 plus 48 is going to be 144. And our dimensions were in centimeters, so centimeters squared. So the trapezoid probably has the most steps. Other than that, those are the steps for finding the surface area of the nets of these three-dimensional figures.